Hey people. Throw away for obvious reasons. I'm not even sure where to start, but I need to get this off my chest. I, 36M, have been married to my wife, Lena, 34F, for 7 years. We have a 3-year-old daughter, Ella, who is the absolute light of my life. The last 2 years have been rough. Lena wanted to go back to work after Ella turned 1, and I supported it. We hired a male caregiver, Nick, 28M. He came highly recommended, worked with toddlers before, CPR certified, good references. Lena was the one who found him. At first, things were fine. He was great with Ella. I actually liked him. Chill guy, super respectful. But slowly, I started noticing changes, especially with Lena. She used to be very hands-on with Ella, always singing to her, reading her bedtime stories, doing bath time. But she started handing those moments off to Nick. I'd come home and see him reading to our daughter while Lena was upstairs with a glass of wine and her phone. Or out, running errands, during Ella's dinner. I'd ask, why not eat with us, and she'd give me this annoyed look like I was trying to micromanage her. She said she was just exhausted or needed me time after work. Okay, fair. But I was working full-time too. And I wanted to be with Ella as much as I could. Lena started pulling away, and not just from Ella, from me, too. At first, I blamed the usual suspects: stress, work, maybe a phase. But something just felt off. You know that gut feeling that gnaws at you even though you can't point to anything specific? Yeah. That was me, sitting in my car after work, wondering why home didn't feel like home anymore. And that was before I found out the disgusting truth. So, yeah, things were off. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I'm not a complete idiot. You can feel when your partner's energy changes. Lena started dressing up more, like way more, just to run errands. Full face of makeup, low-cut tops, heels. I jokingly asked once, "You hitting a runway on the way to Target?" and she laughed it off with, "Maybe I just want to feel good about myself again." Fair. Self-care is important, right? But then I noticed something else. Her phone. She used to leave it lying around anywhere, on the table, on the couch, sometimes even in the bathroom. Now? It was glued to her hand like it was surgically attached. She'd even take it with her to the shower. If it buzzed and I so much as glanced in its direction, she'd flip. "Don't be nosy," she'd snap, like I was trying to hack the Pentagon. Nick was still working full-time with Ella, and from the outside, nothing seemed amiss. But one day, I came home early. Meeting got cancelled last minute. I didn't tell Lena I was on my way, thought I'd surprise them, maybe take them out for lunch. I pulled up into the driveway and saw Nick's car parked out front, which was normal. What wasn't normal was that the house was dead silent. No cartoons. No baby babble. No footsteps. Just silence. I walked in and called out, no answer. I crept upstairs, thinking maybe Ella was napping and they didn't hear me come in. As I reached the top of the stairs, I heard voices. Muffled. Coming from our guest bedroom. My stomach dropped. Something felt wrong. I got closer to the door and froze. Lena. Giggling. Nick. Saying something about, "We have time." And then, moaning. My whole body went cold. I backed away slowly, went down the stairs, walked out the door, got into my car, and just sat there. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to scream. I wanted to burst in there and end it right then and there, but I didn't. I needed to know the full story before I burned the house down. And I was about to get it. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I laid there, staring at the ceiling while Lena snored softly next to me, like she didn't just betray every ounce of trust we'd built over the last 7 years. I didn't confront her, not yet. I wanted to be sure. I know what I heard, but I needed hard proof. I needed it to slap her in the face so she couldn't lie her way out of it. Lena's always had a silver tongue. She could talk her way out of a prison sentence with a half smile and a guilt trip. I wasn't going to give her that chance. So I played the fool. Smiled. Kissed her on the cheek. Acted like nothing was wrong. I even told her I might have to take a couple days of travel for work. I lied, just like she did, but mine had a purpose. I set up an old phone as a hidden camera in the guest room closet. Motion activated. I positioned it just right behind a stack of unused linens. It was crude, but effective. If she was going to bring him back, I'd catch it. Sure enough, 2 days later, I got the notification while I was on my business trip. I pulled over on the side of the road and watched the footage in my car. There they were. In my house. On my guest bed. Laughing, touching, kissing. And talking. That's when it got worse. Not just betrayal, but disrespect. Nick, aren't you worried your husband's gonna find out? Lena, please. He's so clueless he probably thinks I'm still into him. He doesn't even notice when I get my hair done. He's too busy playing perfect dad. That stung. Like acid poured into an open wound. I had tried so hard to make sure she had space, time, everything she needed, and this is what I got. Then she said, honestly, I needed this. Being a mom 24/7 is exhausting. He gets to work all day and come home to a clean house and happy kid. And I get nothing. You, at least, make me feel wanted. I turned the video off. I couldn't watch anymore. It wasn't just sex. It was contempt. I drove home that night and sat in the driveway for an hour. Breathing. Thinking. I had my proof. Now it was time to confront the liar I married. I came home earlier than planned, unannounced. Lena was in the kitchen, acting like everything was normal, pouring juice for our son, humming to herself like she didn't just dismantle our family behind my back. I watched her for a second before saying anything. I don't know what I was expecting, guilt, hesitation, something that would make me think maybe she regretted it. But she just looked up, smiled, and said, "You're back early." That fake cheerfulness hit me harder than anything else. I couldn't play nice anymore. I saw the video, Lena. Her face dropped instantly. Juice spilled onto the floor as her hand trembled, and the glass slipped. What video?" she stammered. Don't even try it," I snapped. "The one where you brought Nick into our home. Into our guest bed. Where you talked about how clueless I was and how exhausting it is to be a mom while I do everything I can to support you." She froze. For a moment, I thought she'd deny it again. Instead, her eyes welled up, and she dropped to her knees in the middle of the juice puddle. "I'm so sorry," she said, choking through sobs. "It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen. Nick made me feel alive again. You've been so distant lately, Anne." "Oh, so now it's my fault?" I shot back. "No. I mean, yes, kind of. You're always with the baby, always working." I felt invisible. I stared at her, dumbfounded. "So instead of talking to me, you decided to screw the guy who bathes our child and reads him bedtime stories? That's the solution?" She kept crying, repeating, "I'm sorry," like it was going to erase what happened. I looked over at our son, who had toddled into the living room and was staring at us, confused. That broke me more than anything else. I picked him up, held him close, and walked away from her. That night, she slept in the guest room. The same one she defiled. She begged me not to leave, not to take our son, not to ruin everything. She didn't understand that she already did. The days that followed were the ugliest of my life. I was a walking corpse. Barely sleeping, barely eating. I'd hold our son and just stare at the walls, wondering what I did to deserve this. Wondering how the woman I married, the woman I trusted with my heart and built a family with, could do something so careless and cruel. The worst part? She didn't stop acting like the victim. Every conversation started with, "I didn't mean to hurt you," or, "It wasn't about sex, it was about attention." Then it would always twist back to me, "You were never really present, always tired, always preoccupied." Yeah. I was tired. I was working 10-hour days and still trying to be there for our son. I wasn't out there having an affair with the help while someone else changed our kids' diapers. Every time I looked at her, I saw them. I saw her laugh in a way I hadn't seen in years, just not with me. I saw how casual she was, how comfortable she looked around him. Like he was the one she wanted, not me. That realization gutted me more than the cheating itself. I spent hours just sitting in my car outside the house, wondering if I should even go back in. Part of me wanted to pack a bag, take our son, and vanish. But I also didn't want him growing up without both parents. And despite it all, I wasn't ready to destroy the marriage completely, not yet. That scared me more than anything, the fact that some part of me still wanted to make it work. Lena begged for therapy. She even suggested we go on a trip, just the two of us, to reconnect. I couldn't think of anything worse at that moment. But I agreed to counseling. Not because I believed her, but because I needed clarity. I needed to understand how we got here. And if there was any chance I could feel something other than disgust toward her again. I wasn't ready to forgive. Hell, I wasn't even sure I could. But I owed it to myself, and to my son, to at least try. So, yeah, I agreed to therapy. Not because I was all gung-ho about saving the marriage, but because I needed answers. Closure. Something. Lena threw herself into it like she was the poster child for remorse. She cried at every session. Brought up childhood trauma. Talked about feeling unseen and neglected. I sat there listening, torn between wanting to comfort her and wanting to scream, "You cheated with our child's caregiver." The therapist asked me what I wanted. I didn't even know. I was still waking up some mornings hoping it was all a bad dream. We agreed on a few things though: no contact with the caregiver, he was fired immediately after the confrontation, full transparency with phones and whereabouts, and weekly check-ins between just the two of us. No filters. No walking on eggshells. That's when the curveballs started. About 3 weeks in, I got a message from the caregiver's wife. Turns out he had a family too. She had just found out and thought I knew about their long-standing relationship. According to her, this wasn't a one-time thing. It had been going on for months, possibly a year, and not just at our house, but during work trips Lena said she was taking to visit her sister. I confronted Lena again. She broke down and admitted it. Yeah, it wasn't just the one time. And it wasn't just in our house. It was hotel rooms. His car. That one weekend I took our son to my mom's, thinking she needed rest. I nearly vomited. But here's the twisted part: I stayed. I stayed because the hate I felt was still rooted in love. And because every time I saw our son smile at her, I remembered the woman I married. Not the one who lied and betrayed me, but the one who held my hand in delivery rooms, who surprised me with notes in my lunch when I had rough days, who used to dance in the kitchen with our baby in her arms like the world was perfect. Maybe she was still in there. Maybe. But damn if it wasn't getting harder to see. Let me tell you, rebuilding trust after betrayal feels like trying to glue shattered glass back together. Even if you manage it, you're still left with all the cracks. After the second wave of truth came out, about the hotels, the trips, all of it, our therapy sessions took a dark turn. Lena kept saying, "I didn't mean for it to go so far. I thought I could stop. I thought I could control it." That line messed me up. She thought she could control cheating on me. Like it was a casual impulse. Like it was a bad habit she was planning to quit after, just one more time. Every time I looked at her, I saw him. Every time she reached for me, I flinched a little. I hated that. I started to spiral. I installed cameras inside the house. I told her it was for safety, but she knew. I checked her location like a madman. I would wake up in cold sweats convinced she was lying about being at the store for 40 minutes. And the worst part? She noticed. One night, we had this massive blowout. She screamed, "You said you wanted to work on this, but all you do is punish me." I yelled back, "You broke me. You don't get to decide how I bleed." We didn't talk for 2 days after that. When we finally did, I admitted I didn't know if I was trying to fix the marriage, or just trying to punish her slowly. I didn't know what I wanted anymore, I just knew I wasn't ready to give up. So, we made some new rules: separate bedrooms for a while. Couples therapy twice a week instead of once. No pretending everything was okay. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't warm. It was survival. Some days she'd bring me coffee like she used to. Some days I'd ignore her completely. Our son was the only constant. We tried our best to shield him from the tension. That kid deserved peace. I wish I could say I was doing this for him alone, but part of me still wanted to see if there was a version of us that could survive this. Broken. Bruised. But maybe, better. So, here's where things get even messier. Just when I thought we had reached the bottom of the pit, trying to claw our way back up with therapy and cold silence, life decided to throw a curveball I never saw coming. It started with a knock on the door one rainy afternoon. I was home alone with our son while Lena was at one of her therapy sessions. When I opened the door, there stood a woman I didn't recognize. Maybe late 20s, mid-30s. She looked nervous, like she was about to either cry or scream. She asked if Lena lived here. I told her yes, and asked who she was. She said, "My name is Crystal. I used to date your nanny." Yeah. That nanny. I didn't know what to say. My stomach turned. I asked her why she was here, and she blurted out, "I thought you should know, he's done this before. He has a pattern. He goes after married women. It's like a game to him." I stood there, completely stunned. She went on to tell me how her ex, the nanny, had cheated on her with a different woman he used to work for, got caught, and then ghosted the woman and Crystal. She only found out about my wife because she saw a photo Lena had posted online that he was tagged in. She said, "I thought maybe she was a one-time thing. But when I saw the tags and recognized your kid's name, I knew he was doing it again." I thanked her. She apologized again. She looked just as wrecked as I felt. When Lena came home, I told her immediately. She froze like a deer in headlights. I asked, "Did you know about this guy's past? Did you have any clue what he was like?" She looked down. Silent. Then she said something I'll never forget. "He told me he used to be broken, but that I made him feel normal again." Jesus. That sentence told me everything and nothing at the same time. I realized then, it wasn't just about sex. She was vulnerable. Stupid. Lonely. Maybe even manipulated a little. But still, she chose it. Repeatedly. I didn't even yell. I just walked out and drove around for hours. That visit from Crystal opened my eyes more than therapy ever did. It was the first time I stopped seeing the affair as just about me. It wasn't personal to the nanny. I was just another husband in a line of husbands whose homes he'd tried to invade. But Lena? She invited him in. And that made all the difference. After Crystal's bombshell visit, everything felt different. Lena and I were still doing therapy, still parenting, still coexisting, but now I saw her differently. She wasn't just my wife who made a terrible mistake. She was someone who had opened the door to a predator and let him in, repeatedly, while telling me everything was fine. I was distant for days after that. Emotionally and physically. I'd show up to therapy, say what I had to say, but I was checked out. Lena noticed. She tried harder. She started texting me things like, "I know I screwed up. I don't expect forgiveness overnight. But I'm still here." And honestly, that's what started chipping away at my anger. She didn't run. She didn't gaslight me anymore. She didn't even beg for comfort. She just stayed. She took the awkward silences. The cold shoulders. The nights I slept on the couch. She even wrote me a letter. Yeah, it's cheesy, but it broke me. In it, she said, "I stopped loving myself after I became a mom. I felt like a failure at home, at work, in bed, and in my skin. And when someone finally made me feel seen again, I didn't question it, I just jumped. And I hate myself for that." She wasn't excusing it. She was just being brutally honest. And weirdly, that was the moment I saw a version of her I hadn't seen in years, the girl I met in college. Messed up, impulsive, but raw and real. That's when I decided maybe, this wasn't a death sentence for our marriage. Maybe it was a cry for help. And maybe, if I still had a sliver of love left in me, I owed it to myself, and our son, to try one more time. So I told her this. "We're not okay. But if you're serious, if you're really in this to rebuild, then I'll try. But I need total honesty. No more secrets. No more sugarcoating. No more pretending everything's fine when it's not." She cried. I didn't. I couldn't yet. But I think she understood the weight of what I was offering. It wasn't forgiveness. It was a chance. It's been 6 months since that conversation. I still can't say that things are perfect or that the wounds are fully healed. But I'm not sure they ever will be, and I've come to terms with that. What I do know is this: healing is messy, and it's not linear. After the blow of the affair, I found myself questioning everything I thought I knew about our relationship. I spent hours staring at walls, scrolling through our old pictures, wondering where it all went wrong. But as I sat in therapy and reflected on everything, something clicked. I realized that my biggest mistake was shutting down when Lena reached out. When the truth came out, I was so angry and hurt that I pushed her away completely. I didn't give her the chance to be real with me. She messed up, but so did I. I was so focused on punishing her, I forgot that I wasn't the only one hurting. We're still rebuilding, but we're doing it together. It's not easy, and I don't think it will ever be easy. Some days, I wake up and I feel like I'm still holding a grudge. Other days, I wake up and see her trying, really trying, and I think maybe we can make this work. I've learned a few things through all this. Trust is fragile. Once it's broken, you can't just glue it back together and pretend it was never shattered. It's a long road to rebuild it, and maybe it will never be what it was. But rebuilding is still possible. Communication is key. When we stopped talking, everything fell apart. I had to learn how to express my feelings, and she had to learn how to listen and take responsibility without getting defensive. People are human. We mess up. We make mistakes. But that doesn't always mean the end of everything. Sometimes, it's just a matter of whether or not you're willing to work through the mess and rebuild together. Forgiveness is earned, not given. And it doesn't happen overnight. I'm not just over it because she apologized. I'm over it because she's proven to me that she wants to be a better person, not just for me, but for herself. And that takes time. Sometimes you need to give people a second chance, but don't do it out of obligation or pity. Do it because they've shown you they're committed to earning back your trust. And because you believe, deep down, that they are worth the effort. For anyone going through something similar, my advice is this: take your time. Don't rush to make any decisions. Don't let your emotions cloud your judgment. And most importantly, know when to walk away, but also know when to try again. You have to weigh the good, the bad, and everything in between. But ultimately, you need to listen to yourself. No one else can tell you what's best for you.